So that is, I guess you'd say, sort of why I came here. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited to be here. I mean, I just came here from Deep River, Ontario, and now I'm in this dream place.
Through its surreal nature, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive explores the deep and violent sexual desires of the subconscious. Like surrealist films that have come before, it explores Freudian emotions, then goes even farther, and explores the effects on the mind when those emotions and desires become unattainable. We delve into the mind of Diane, who has created a fantasy world in order to find love, make it in Hollywood, and realize her dreams as an aspiring actress.
Oh, I can't believe it.
The location of the film provides a fantastical backdrop for her story. Diane goes about her day as though she is stuck in a classical Hollywood film, complete with rotary telephones, noir dialogue.
$10 says you're Betty.
Yes, I am, Mrs. Lenoir. It is Mrs. Lenoir, isn't it?
And her very own mystery plot.
Come on, it'll be just like in the movies. We'll pretend to be someone else.
With self-reflexive references to films that have come before it, Mulholland Drive comments on the mechanical and industrial elements and illusions of Hollywood and film in general. There's even the quickest self-reflexive wink to Sunset Boulevard, a film about the desire to hold on to stardom and relevance in the ever-changing Hollywood machine. Each aspect of Lynch's film makes the audience feel uncomfortable and tense. He blends the conventional and unconventional in eerie ways and tosses in layers of narratives and characters as we attempt to string together some coherent logic. Something just seems off throughout the entire film, adding to its surreal and fantastical nature. To exemplify this, let's first take a look at the editing. In an early scene, Betty's aunt takes a final look at her house before departing while Rita scurries inside. We assume the next shot will show Aunt's surprised or confused reaction, but she simply returns to packing her car. Lynch is providing subtle hints that we are in a fantasy world where typical narrative techniques hold no bounds. Later on in the film, when Betty arrives at the movie studio for the first time, we see her looking up at something in amazement. The film cuts to the studio, but very deliberately refuses to show us the top of the building she's clearly admiring. Where are we? What studio is this? Well, it's not a specific place necessarily. It's merely the studio of her dreams, just how she envisions it. Let's talk about establishing shots. Lynch always finds a way to cut too early or tilt too much to allow us to actually gain a sense of where we are, including this bizarre shot in the Silencio Theater. These shots continue to disorient us as we cannot get a grasp on locations, characters, or the relationships between them. Everything feels claustrophobic as Lynch very intentionally withholds information from us. The sound. The sound in Mulholland Drive acts almost like a character of its own. In fact, the ambient soundtrack is present during so much of the film that it's easy to forget about it. From the dreamlike song Camilla Rhodes performs to the Twin Peaks-style synths. The soundscape overwhelms us, adding to that tension and uneasiness. In several scenes, such as this one, we hear a dark underlying ambience. Now, where have we heard this before? A very similar noise can be detected in the Coen brothers' Barton Fink.
It was a joke.
Both films deal with themes of subjectivity, and these sounds represent the inner turmoil of the subconscious. Throughout the entire film, the cinematography is restless and anxious. One conversation early in the film makes this quite evident. A nameless duo sits in a coffee shop discussing a recurring nightmare one of them has been having. The camera dreamily floats around them, unable to remain still. We see this style of cinematography several times throughout the rest of the film, as the camera jolts through the space through tense POV shots and frantic tracking shots. This cinematography self-reflexively makes the audience aware of the presence of the camera, as we begin to piece together that what we are watching is artificial, merely an illusion.
It's all recorded.
These camera movements stand in stark contrast to the very still and reserved way in which the real world is presented to us. The camera abides by more conventional techniques here, as reality is presented a bit more objectively. The mise-en-scène also hints at Diane's desperate desires to make it in Hollywood. Her fantasies contain bright, saturated colors and a hopeful, naive smile. That smile disappears, however, when we witness Diane's reality. Everything appears dull, gray, and hopeless, stark contrasts from the vivid colors that collide in her dreams. We also see some examples of noir lighting that cast eerie shadows and carry a much heavier emotional weight when we understand the context surrounding Diane. These contrasts fully drive home the hopelessness she feels and the unattainableness of her deepest desires. Mulholland Drive enters into the mind of a struggling actress and explores the depths of human consciousness. We are presented with the reality, in quotes, that Diane has created for herself, a reality that allows her to begin a new career in Hollywood and meet Camilla once again, this time as an amnesiac, a fresh start.
My name's Rita.
Hi.
However, this turns out to be merely an illusion. When Diane awakens, we see her lying in the same bed and in the same position as the corpse she finds with Rita earlier in the film. This use of associative editing symbolizes the fact that Diane truly wishes to rid herself of her identity, to be someone else and mutually fall in love with Camilla. In essence, her true self dies, like the body on the bed, as her dream self lives on in her mind. By the end of the film, Diane becomes haunted, as she realizes that she cannot obtain what she truly desires. She returns to that same position on the bed, this time putting an end to her unbearable reality. Ultimately, in her desperate attempts to fall in love and give herself that happy Hollywood ending, she's unable to do so, even going so far as to prevent anyone else from possibly being with Camilla. This pushes her to her devastating breaking point, and the dream place takes on an entirely different meaning, one filled with lost hope and broken dreams.